Good day, everyone! In this video, we will be going to discuss another topic. But before anything else, let's have first our objectives for today's lesson. Identify the tips in preparing, monitoring, and processing collaborative tasks in the classroom. Design a collaborative activity wherein the learners are engaged in. Value the importance of collaboration in teaching mathematics in primary grades. So these are the objectives that you are expected to attain at the end of our discussion. Today, we will discuss about collaboration. What is collaboration? Collaboration is when you are working with individuals or a group to achieve common goal. It is a joint effort of multiple individuals or work groups to accomplish a task or a project. Inside the classroom, we must create a fair division of labor to our learners. We must let them socialize and try to hang out them with their classmates to accomplish a task. This is where collaboration takes place. As a teacher, we must create a collaborative activities or task to provide enriching opportunities for our learners to explore other students' perspective that may differ from their own. Thus, this can develop a strong sense of empathy among students. Group activities is one of the strategy that a teacher can use in teaching and learning process. But we teachers should not facilitate it carelessly because it can waste classroom time. It is important for us teachers to ensure that group activities are carefully designed and successfully implemented. Through group activities, learners are given the opportunities to work with their peers in broadening their learning experience, allowing small group of students to work together to share their knowledge, exchange ideas, and to solve problems together. As learners collaborate with their classmates and teachers, they adopt some of the learning heuristics and develop more skills in problem solving. So through collaborative activities, it encourages active participation from learners instead of passively accepting information from the teachers. Learners discover new insights by cooperatively working with another learners. As teachers, we should be keen in selecting appropriate learning activities for our students. So here are some tips in preparing, monitoring, and processing collaborative tasks inside the classroom that will help maximize students' capacity to socialize and learn from and with each other. So we have here identify the instructional objectives, determine the group size, decide how will you divide the class, give a team building task before assigning the actual task, delegate a specific task to each member of the group, have a contract signed by your participants, share your reason or reasons for doing collaborative activities, give your instructions clearly, go around and keep your ears open, provide closure to the group activities. Now, let us first discuss about the first tip in preparing, monitoring, and processing collaborative tasks in the classroom, which is to identify the instructional objectives. So when deciding whether or not to use group work for a specific task, you must reflect on the following questions. What does the activity aim to achieve? How will the objective be furthered by asking students to work in groups? Will the project require true collaboration? Are the objectives attainable within the given time frame? So always remember, class, that in setting objectives, it must be a SMART objective, which is specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bounded objectives. Also, when you already identify your objectives, it will serve as your guide to have a successful collaborative activity in your class. Second tip is to determine the size. To determine the group size. So how many students will be assigned each group? The size you will choose will depend on the total number of your students in your classroom, the size of the venue where the activity will be held, the variety of students needed in a group, and the task assigned. If you want to have a diverse, productive, and active, cohesive groups, then try dividing your class with 4 to 5 members. Third tip is to decide how will you divide the class. Will you group your class according to their own preference? So you must prepare a list with names vis-a-vis his or her prevailing attitude toward a subject. You should divide your students accordingly based on this list. But make sure that each group has a good mixture of personalities. Other possible factors that you should consider in dividing your class include gender, race, ethnicity, and behavior. The fourth tip is to give a team building task before assigning the actual task. So you will give a preliminary task that will help each student establish a good rapport with his or her group. These primary activities should be designed in such a way that positive relationship will be built, a mutual respect between and among members. The fifth tips is delegate specific tasks to each member of the group. So how do you get students participate in the task? So you will come up with a task wherein different rules are assigned to group members so that they are all involved in the process. Each member should feel responsible for the success of their group mates and realize that their individual success depends on the group success because they are working as a group instead of working alone. So the sixth tip is have a contract signed by your participant. So you will make them sign an agreement that explicitly states their expectation of one another. The contract should also include the behaviors that you want them to avoid and the values that you want them to uphold. Seventh tip is to share your reason for doing collaborative activities. So the reasons for doing collaboration has to be clearly articulated to your students. They must understand the benefits of collaborative learning. Eighth tips is you should give your instructions clearly. Giving instructions is not something that you take for granted. Giving a clear set of instructions will contribute to the good performance of the students in the activity. Failing to do so can lead a huge waste of time. So if the students do not understand the given task, then this will result to a lot of interruptions. So as a facilitator of the activity, you should tell exactly what your students have to perform and describe what the final output of their group task will look like. Next tip is you should go around and keep your ears open. As students accomplish their task, go around and answer about their task. Make sure to keep your ears open. You should listen to their collaborative dialogue. If you find a group that is experiencing some sort of uncertainty or disagreement, refrain from giving the answers or resolving the disagreement. Instead, you should allow your participants to feel some stretch, to experience struggle within reason to accomplish the task. And the last tip in preparing, monitoring, and processing collaborative tasks in the classroom is to provide closure to the group activities. You should conclude the activity by having a session wherein students give report. You can ask each group to give an oral report or submit a written report. You may also ask them to reflect on how they performed the group. This will give you an idea of their perceptions about group work. So these are the tips that you should remember in designing group activities. So always remember, class, that through collaborative activities, it will encourage our learners' involvement, interdependence, and a fair division of labor.